Look, there's certainly a lot of competition, but the story we're gonna discuss in this video might be an example of one of the most brazen acts of corruption since Donald Trump retook office, which again is really something considering everything he's done with the tariffs and telling people to invest and all of that. But I'll let you be the judge. It involves his pick of former Republican Congressman Billy Long to run the Internal Revenue Service. So he picked him, his nomination is still currently pending in the Senate, but the Senate has confirmed basically everyone that Donald Trump has picked. And so it looks like he's gonna get in. And I'm not just saying that because it seems like they'll vote for him. Those who he will be in charge of, like the watching in his new role in the beat of the IRS, they sure seem to think that he's gonna win because he just received a massive financial handout from the exact people that he would be in charge of regulating and conducting oversight of when he becomes the head of the IRS. And it is as bad as it can be, and we're gonna give you all the details. So in new campaign finance filings, Long disclosed an outstanding personal loan of $130,000 that he had made to his failed 2022 US Senate campaign. The dormant Senate campaign committee had raised less than $36,000 in the last 2 years, which could have forced him to absorb the losses on the loan. He might have had to actually cover it. But after he was named by Trump to head the IRS, the committee suddenly raked in a ton of money, nearly $137,000 in less than 3 weeks in January, money that he then used to pay off what he would have had to pay off himself. So effectively, rather than him paying off over $100,000, those donors did. And it wasn't a broad-based thing, an upswelling of support of the peasant class or whatever. More than 2/3 of the contributions given to his committee in January were for $2,900. That is the maximum allowed donation for the 2022 election cycle. And here's the kicker, this is fun. At least 1/3 of the money came from donors working at firms in the tax consultancy industry or involved in major tax-related legal battles. And we'll talk about some of those legal battles. But look, obviously this is a payoff. They're paying the guy off in a way that's not technically bribery, it's only bribery, and they're allowed to do it. It's been legalized. They can hand over $100,000 to this guy, assuming that he will then go easy on them once he becomes the head of the IRS. And what is the alternative explanation? That nearly 3 years after a failed candidacy, a bunch of his constituents were like, I still think he can win this thing. And they decided to flood him with money. How is it even possible to donate money to a campaign that ended more than 2 years ago? That's not a rhetorical question. I mean, like legally, how is that possible to do? How is this, the fact that you can do this, anything other than an opening for exactly this sort of bribery, Brett?
Dude, it's money laundering.
It's money laundering, that's literally what it is.
Money laundering. Like at this point, just give him the money. Like give him the money on a big publisher's clearinghouse check. Like that, just be honest with me, dude. Like they owed, his job is to go after these guys. And they gave him money. Do you think he's more or less likely to go after these? And they did it like, I don't need to work at the IRS to see that looks fishy. Public Citizen has like this amazing tracker of conflicts of interest, by the way, in the Trump cabinet. And it's fantastic. It's got Nancy Beck is an EPA senior advisor who's been a lobbyist for like chemical companies. Pam Bondi has lobbied for a bunch of different people and also like was investigating Trump until he donated to her campaign and she stopped. What's his name? The guy from Road Rules. I thought that the reason that the Road Rules guy, Sean Duffy, was put in charge of the Department of Transportation was because he was on Road Rules or Real World or something. But no, the guy was a lobbyist for United Polaris. Like these are all foxes in charge of the hen house. And it's so insulting. And what's crazy to me is because of the Brinks trucks worth of cash that have backed up and been dumped on everybody, from the potential appointees to the potential appointers to the media apparatuses, like all of the so-called independent media apparatuses that the right leverages and has grown over the years through promoted videos that make their way into your feed and get most favored nation status when it comes to suggesting them in the future, I would conjecture. All of it is so wildly corrupt, but it's still allowed to happen.
Yep.
It's
because the system itself is corrupt and allowed to.
But that also goes to cover up and launder the reputations of these people. There is this weird phenomenon where they're like, yo, at least Trump like tells it like it is, like he's an open book. No, he's not. And when he can be an open book, but written in that book is like the ledger of all the people in his cabinet and his executive branch that have been receiving bribes. Like, this is the stuff that you would expect that the cops are supposed to look for. And when they find it, they show up and be like, we're sending you the pen, see? But no, it's like, oh, we found it. We show it to people, no one cares. It's time for us to care. We do care. We care. We've been caring for years.
Look, on TDR, we've been profiling the chaos, crime, and corruption. There's a lot of it every day. The corruption, maybe more than anything else. It's wild. And I love the casual disrespect from Brett to Sean Duffy. The idea that he was picked to be transportation secretary just because he was on Real World Road Rules Challenge. No, as you said, he was a lobbyist for Polaris. He got that job just because he was on Real World Road Rules Challenge. He earned this one. Anyway.
We have a poll in the YouTube chat that's like, is this the most brazen corruption in the Trump, the second Trump White House yet? And right now the results are 69-31. Yes, it is.
I don't know, man. Launching the crypto stuff, that's pretty brazen. Did everybody forget? I know it was like 2 weeks ago. He just gave pardons to massive fraudsters who defrauded people with their corporations. Like stole millions from investors. The sort of thing that Larry Kudlow would refer to as punishing success. These are good investors. They defrauded them. Trump just let them go because they commit the same sorts of crimes that he does. There was no explanation. They're just free. They can just go and defraud more good investors. And by the way, you mentioned Public Citizen. I think they have a log of, there's like 200 investigations into corporate malfeasance and fraud, criminality that have already ended under the Trump administration. Like, it isn't just that he and his cabinet and his picks are committing personal acts of corruption. They are now causing the actual cops we have investigating corporate crime, and they have just surrendered. They've laid down their weapons, and now corporations know it's open work. You could do literally anything you want at this point, and they're not going to investigate you.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.